Hey you guys, welcome back. This is Guys My Love, also known as Shannon. If you are new to my channel, I do faith-based videos, lifestyle, beauty, and so much more. So if you haven't already, make sure you go ahead and click that subscription button so that you can catch my future videos. For those of you that are new, I am a labor and delivery travel nurse. I'm currently working at an as-needed job here in Georgia until I get my next contract. I'm here to talk to you guys about travel nursing. I have been a travel nurse since the end of 2019, so it's been almost 2 years. I started travel nursing right before the pandemic. Who knew? But God is good, He is gracious, He is faithful, He is wonderful. So let's get into this video and talk about the things that I have learned about travel nursing. And I have my notes here to make sure I don't forget anything because I have 15 points that I want to talk about. First thing is you don't get PTO as a travel nurse. Certain facilities, certain contracts do allow sick pay. If you had a day where you couldn't come in and you were sick, you would actually get paid for that day. But it is only a certain amount of days that you get the sick leave. I think it's like only 3 days that they gave, like if you were sick. As far as benefits, all contracts that I have been on do offer benefits. I haven't heard of any contracts that don't offer benefits. Not saying that they're not out there, but I haven't seen a contract yet that does not offer benefits. But this is the thing about benefits though. As soon as your contract is over, your benefits are cut. After I left Houston, Texas, like the following week or the following next 2 weeks, benefits were cut off. Like I tried to use it somewhere and it was like, oh, they're not covering you. I was like, that was only like a week or 2 ago. So now I just go with my own private insurance, and private insurance is so much more expensive. And I'm just like, I never knew how much more expensive private insurance is because I never had to get private insurance. My first staff nurse job, the health insurance covered me for a year after I left them. I was like, well, thank you, God. The government actually does not like for healthcare workers to not have health insurance. That's a big no-no. I was contemplating going between, back and forth, knowing the facts that I could be in between contracts for weeks at a time. So that's when I decided to go ahead and do private insurance. Now, my private insurance, and this does not even cover preventative care. Preventative care is like going to the doctor's office for your annual physical. Preventative care, they checking up on you to prevent any problems. That's preventative care. And my insurance is $195 per month. What? But I cannot make annual appointments with it. I can't do a lot of things with it. The only thing I can do with the insurance is I can go get my teeth cleaned, but I can't make an annual checkup. The insurance company that I'm with, that's $195 a month, they asked me if I wanted to add preventative care, that would be over $300 per month. $300 per month just to have preventative care insurance? No, that's crazy. I mean, at least I have insurance, some kind of insurance, but I still need better preventative care insurance. That is so much more cheaper. I don't know. I'm praying on that. So y'all, if y'all know some insurance companies that are selling their insurance at a very affordable price but still giving you all the coverage that you need for preventative care, please let me know, because $195 goes a long way, and that makes no sense to be paying $195 per month and you can't even do annual checkups. As far as honoring contract, thankfully I've never had to cancel a contract. I was very close to canceling one. I'm not going to say where it was at. Y'all probably already know because I complained about it in one of my videos. But anyways, if you do cancel contracts, they always say that they want you to pay or whatever, but I know someone that she told me that she's canceled 2 contracts and she's never paid anything back. So obviously, if you feel like you don't like how things are going, like you don't feel like things are safe, they shouldn't be asking money back. They shouldn't be asking for money. But I mean, it is out there that they say that they will ask for money back when you cancel a contract early. But if you are looking for protecting yourself, they should not be asking for money back. This is a very, very, very important fact that you need to know. If you travel in a state that is not your resident state for 12 months within a 24-month time frame, it doesn't matter if it's consecutively, it doesn't matter if the 12 months are together or if the 12 months are spread apart. Like you were there for 6 months, you left for 3 months, and then you came back for another 6 months straight or broken up. If those 12 months are within a 24-month time frame, that place is now considered your new resident home, and you will be taxed according to how taxes are in that state. So you have to make sure that when you're doing travel nursing that you do not stay in a place for longer than, for even up to 12 months if you do not want that place to be a resident home. Up to 12 months within a 24-month period. These recruiters are telling you how much you'll be getting paid a week. It may sound great. You're like,
oh, I'm gonna be getting paid $3,000 a week.
But more than likely, the number that they tell you is the gross amount. Now, some will tell you the gross amount and the net amount. Now, the gross amount is how much money you make before taxes. The net amount is how much money you take home after taxes are taken out. So anytime your recruiter does not tell you the gross and the net amount of money that you're going to be making per week, make sure you ask them what the net amount is, because they will tax that money a lot. Okay, all depending on what state it is. Like for example, if you're doing a local travel assignment, you get taxed a whole lot more than you would if you were going outside your resident state. You won't get those full stipends because you're at home, so you really don't need the stipend. So they're gonna tax you like crazy. Just make sure you ask for that net worth. This next point is you will not get dinged for not signing a contract that your recruiter is telling you about. Now, it's completely different if you have signed the contract and you like, oh yeah, I'm definitely coming, sign the contract, and then it's time for you to go and you're like, oh, don't want to do the contract no more. It's a little bit different then. I mean, you can still back out, but you don't really want to do that because it's not a good look for you. Some recruiters might kind of like shy away from you, but I've seen some people like sign contracts and they still be getting contracts. I mean, nurses are needed, so whatever. But I had some recruiter last year, I'm not going to name the agency, but because of that recruiter, I am not trying to work with that agency. She told me about like 3 different contracts, and I was like, those sound nice, I need some time to think about them. And she would be on the phone with me forever as well. I was like, those sound nice, I need to think about them. Then when it came down to it, I was like, I forgot why I turned down the contract, but I turned it down. It was never signed. I never agreed to the contracts. I said, those sound nice, I want to think about it, I'm looking at other things. And she had the audacity to say, oh, well, if you don't sign one of the contracts that I offered you, that'll be a ding on you. I was like, ma'am, I have never heard of that before. This is not my first contract that I'm on, and I have never heard of being dinged for not signing the contract that I'm told about. I just left it at that. She asked me some other questions, and I said I'm not interested in any of the contracts, and I never called her or answered her calls or text messages again. I stopped talking to that agency altogether, because if they're letting someone talk to people that way and making them feel like they're doing something wrong by not signing a contract, that's ridiculous. If that's the case, we're supposed to sign every contract we're told about. So if that's the case, you wanted me to do 3 contracts at one time. Never let anyone guilt trip you into signing a contract. If you do not feel comfortable with the contract, don't sign it. If it is not something you want to do, don't sign it. Even if it's a location you don't like, don't sign it. Like, obviously you have a reason for why you don't want to sign a contract. Don't sign it, and don't let them make you feel pressure to sign something that you do not want to sign. You want to know your facility's chain of command. Some facilities have both charge nurses and nurse managers on the unit at all times. And I've been to other facilities where they just have the charge nurse on the unit at all times. Of course, there's always got to be a charge nurse on the unit. You want to know how to operate your chain of command. If you need to, talk to the charge nurse, but things not working on out with you talking to the charge nurse, and you don't have your nurse manager there, then who do you talk to next? Like, do you need to call the nurse manager at home? Go to the house supervisor? Make sure you know what steps you need to take in order to get the problem resolved. You also want to know where you can find policies and procedures at all facilities that you go to. Some hospitals have great policies and procedures. And then some hospitals kind of sort of have policies and procedures, like it's stuff here, but it's stuff missing there. And you have some hospitals that don't have policies and procedures. And in that event, make sure you talk with your charge nurse about what policies and procedure is, about procedures, about certain medications. You can talk to your charge nurse or your nurse manager about all those things. And I would say talk to them about it ahead of time, especially if it's like with certain medications that that you have learned policies and procedures on. If there's no policies and procedures on the unit, you don't want to be trying to find out about it when you're having a situation with a doctor. You want to make sure you know about those policies and procedures ahead of time. One of the reasons why I love travel nursing is because it helps you to expand your resume in ways that you more than likely would not as a staff nurse. I was able to add a reproductive facility onto my resume as a labor and delivery nurse. I know how to circulate oocyte retrievals, and I know how to circulate embryo implantations. I have that on my resume. So you're able to build up your resume in such a short amount of time because you go into different facilities where policies and procedures are different, or you're going into a different range of your specialty. I know the last point was a pro of travel nursing. Now I'm about to talk about a con of travel nursing. And this is the part that I hate. With travel nursing, you can be in between contracts for weeks, even months at a time. And I'm going to tell you why. Yes, there's always contracts out there, but sometimes there are shortages of contracts. Like right now, there are a lot of contracts out there because of COVID and the shortages of nurses. Some nurses have gotten sick. Hospitals are just overflooded with a whole bunch of different patients, of course, including COVID patients. So they just need the extra help. With labor and delivery, it's a lot of COVID babies being born because people were stuck in the house during COVID, and you know what comes with that. They got pregnant. A lot of hospitals need a lot of nurses right now because of COVID. But last year around this time, there was a shortage of contracts, of travel nurse contracts, which is crazy because you would think it would be steady, but because of COVID, it actually made contracts go down. This year, it has been many more contracts. But even with a lot more contracts, you can still be in between contracts at a time because really great paying ones snatched up as soon as they're put on the board. Like as soon as they're put out there, people snatch them up. And I've said before, like the reason why I was in between contracts for so long now is because I started a PRN job, which means as needed. So that leads me to my next point. Get a PRN job if it is not too much to put onto yourself. So if you get a PRN job, which means as needed, if you get a PRN job, make sure you get a PRN job that you can handle. As a travel nurse, you're going to be out for at least 8 weeks at a time. Sometimes you'll find contracts where you just have to be out there for 4 weeks at a time. But PRN jobs require that you work a certain amount of days every 6 weeks. For me, I chose a PRN job to where I only have to work 3 days every 6 weeks. I'm working there every single week though. I'm working there 3 days every single week because they really need nurses really bad right now. You want to make sure you get a PRN job that you can handle. Like you don't want to be stressing about, oh, I gotta hurry up and go back home so I can put in these required shifts for my PRN job. You don't want to have to do like 9 shifts within 6 weeks. You're stressing yourself out. You got to go back home. You got to figure out how you're going to get these 9 shifts in while you're back at home. Now, the reason why I chose to get a PRN job is for obvious reasons. I'm tired of being broke in between contracts, or I'm tired of like really having to stretch my money in between contracts. That is why I chose to do PRN, so that I can have some money to have some income while I'm in between contracts. My next point is to go through multiple travel agencies. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, as they say, because one travel agency might have a hospital that another travel agency does not. So certain hospitals work with certain travel agencies. I'm going with the agency whoever has the most money for the best location at the time. In order to fill those possibilities, you want to go with multiple agencies. Now, I know some people have said they don't want to get a house if they're going to start travel nursing, or they have a house so they don't want to do travel nursing. That was me. If anything, you better do travel nursing if you got a house, because you're going to need that extra money. I think that travel nursing while you have a house is just as great an idea if you're travel nursing and you don't have a house or apartment. Now, my first time staying in a hotel was when I was in Memphis, Tennessee. Hotels are expensive and the rates will change all depending on what month it is. Like, for example, how much I pay in the summertime is going to be much more than how much I pay in the beginning of the spring, of course, because summertime is when everybody's going on vacation. Really look to getting into an Airbnb instead of a hotel, because at least with an Airbnb or a rented out room or a rented out house, you know how much you're going to be paying every month. There's no guessing game with it. You know exactly how much you're going to be paying every month. The most amount that I spent at that hotel was $1,500 in a month. The cheapest that I spent with them was $600, and that was just for 1 month. So I spent a lot of money in Memphis, and I really didn't feel like I gained as much in Memphis because of so much money that I spent. I was trying to find an Airbnb, and this Airbnb that I was looking at, he was asking me too many questions about my dog. Is he gonna be in the kennel? Is he gonna be whining? Is he gonna be doing this? Is he gonna be doing that? And then he was asking me to do too many things. I had to fill out a 20-minute application, and he asked me for a copy of my contract. Like, he was just asking for the most. Like, I would have saved so much money being at his house, but it was not worth it because he was already stressing me out and I wasn't even at his house yet. So just imagine how I would have felt while I was there the whole time. No. The next thing I want to say is it is never wrong to negotiate. If anybody makes you feel guilty for negotiating, they're the problem, not you. You're doing travel nursing for a reason. It's not just because, yeah, you're doing travel nursing because you might love to travel, and mostly because you're trying to get paid, because you're trying to pay stuff off. You're trying to build up a savings. You're trying to start a business. You're trying to do different things. And then while you're trying to do all those things, you also got to take into account what you have to pay for back at home. Like I said, I have a house back here at home. So I have to calculate how much money I'm going to be spending for stuff back at home, and how much money I'm going to be spending for where I'm at. So I need to have enough rent money for me to have where I'm at, and I need to have enough money for my mortgage and my utilities and everything back here at home, and I need to have enough money for food, gas, and money to do stuff while I'm wherever I am as a travel nurse. It is never wrong to negotiate because you know how much money you're going to need for your stay at your assignment. All right, you guys, so that is the end of this video. I hope all of this was very helpful to you. If you haven't already, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned to my future and upcoming videos. And as always, God bless you all, and I will see you all in the next video.